We are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret society, opposed to secret oaths, opposed to secret proceedings, secret proceedings. No official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know.
All right. This is actually technically my first kind of series, I guess, in Conspiracy Corner podcast. This is part 2. So if you haven't seen part 1, check out the Real Illuminati episode of Conspiracy Corner podcast. You can either check it out on Spotify or check it out on YouTube. If you check it out on Spotify and you give it a listen, we get paid a penny. So if you check it out on YouTube and you like our stuff and you like the podcast, please subscribe. But I'm Abe Williams, your host, and this is Conspiracy Corner Podcast. And this is part 2. We started with the Illuminati, the Bavarian Illuminati, and how it is the real Illuminati, and how we need to come up with a better word besides the Illuminati, because there actually was a real Illuminati. I'm not going to go into that rant. Check out part 1 if you want to know why I use the word elites. But anyways, basically we left off that the Illuminati, the Bavarian Illuminati, infiltrated the Freemasons. So this episode we are going to be focusing on the Freemasons. Like I said, I have multiple family members who are Freemasons. I have multiple friends who are Freemasons. I myself am not a Freemason. So I am literally speaking on the knowledge that I've gathered from Freemasons and from my own research on the outside looking in. So if you guys have any research of your own that you would like to share, I'm always up for it. But just know that I'm not some genius that knows everything about the Freemasons. But I will try to give a somewhat kind of like an instructional introduction into Freemasonry, like the knowledge about it. Obviously, not Freemasonry in itself. But yeah, so we shall start on the Freemasons. Freemasonry traces its roots to the guilds formed by medieval stonemasons, who built the castles and cathedrals of England and Scotland during the late 14th century. Master craftsmen ran the guilds, assisted by skilled journeymen and apprentices. And actually, there's a good book you should read called The Hiram Key. Right there, they're kind of lying right there. Well, I wouldn't say they're lying, but by the way, you will have to excuse a little bit of noise. I got a fur baby in the background, but check out the Hiram Key. Like it actually starts with the pharaoh making process in ancient Egypt. It's the same ceremony. and I dabble in witchcraft. Turns out, like the initiation ceremony for male witches or female witches, it's pretty much the exact same thing as Freemasonry, their initiation ceremony. Same with Skull and Bones. You'll see the same pattern. It's the dying and rising again, the death of the ego, and being born again. Even Christianity, it's the same shit. Dying and being born again, you know. Stonemasons formed local organizations called lodges to take care of sick or injured guild members and their families. The lodges became meeting places where the Masons planned and discussed their craft, trained new apprentices, and socialized. To protect their trade secrets and identify fellow guild members, the groups developed secret passwords, handshakes, symbols, and oaths. In 1717, 4 London lodges gathered together to form the first Grand Lodge. Several years later, the lodge produced a constitution called the Old Charges that put forth a colorful account of the mythical origins of Freemasonry in biblical times, writes Joel Levy in the Secret Society's Bible. According to the legend, the knowledge of geometry and of all the sciences was passed from the children of biblical patriarch Lamech, the Egyptians, then to the Babylonians, and finally to King Solomon, who employed tens of thousands of masons to build his temple in Jerusalem, including the twin pillars, Jacob and Boaz, the twin towers, found in present-day Freemasonry symbolism. Where it says he employed tens of thousands of masons to build his temple in Jerusalem, I personally believe that's false. I personally believe in my own belief, through my dabbling in the occult and witchcraft, that these are like the greater and lesser keys of Solomon. It gets into demonology and how King Solomon had a magical ring, in which he controlled demons to build the temple for him. That's my personal belief. You believe what you want, man. I'm just telling you what I believe. Importantly, the document written by James Anderson put forth the underlying tenet of the group. All Masons must demonstrate their devotion to the Supreme Being, which would be, I guess, the creator of all. The great architect of the universe is what they call him. The creator of all is a Sumerian ancient astronaut. Basically, the first religion, they called him the creator of all. The Freemasons call him the great architect of the universe. A tiny blend of religion and science. By the way, I don't like the whole great architect of the universe because they depict him as Saturn. And you already know how I feel about Saturn, that it's an interdimensional parasite. It's chaos. You eat the flesh of your own children, like that type of craziness. And that's through their own artwork. They make the great architect literally look like Saturn. So, drawn by Freemasonry's philosophy that each individual is capable of spiritual and moral improvement, many men who were not stonemasons sought to join the group. In the interest of encouraging personal growth and intellectual development, stonemasons opened their doors to accept new members from other professions. By the mid-1700s, Freemasonry had spread throughout Europe and beyond. It was immensely successful in the American colonies, and many of the nation's founding fathers, George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, fuck Benjamin Franklin. By the way, he was a member of the Hellfire Club. I've got into, literally, I made a video about the Hellfire Club and Benjamin Franklin. You can check it out on the YouTube channel. And actually, I made it a Conspiracy Corner podcast episode with a little bit of editing on Spotify. So if you're listening from Spotify, there you go. Paul Revere, and John Hancock were Masons. A freed slave named Prince Hall was initiated into the order in 1775 and later founded African American lodges known as the Prince Hall Masonry, which exists to this day. And this is just what I'm going to let you know. One of my family members is a Prince Hall Freemason. He's a 33rd degree. And I'm just going to let you know from other sources who are buddies of mine who are Freemasons. The Prince Hall Freemasonry, the black version of Freemasonry, they are lying to you guys. I hope you guys know that. Anyone who is a black person and listening to this who's a Freemason and thinks that they're getting this like secret awesome knowledge, you're getting literally a dumbed down version of the white version. And by the way, Freemasonry, Albert Pike and all that, you know, they had literally they're behind the creation of the KKK. So yeah, if you're a black person and you're a Freemason, I'm sorry, but I can't help but laugh at you, thinking that you know that you're getting this secret knowledge. You know, yeah, they also created the KKK. So do your homework. Known interchangeably as Freemasonry, Masonry, Free and Accepted Masons, or simply the craft, which goes into witchcraft. The craft. We call it the craft. You know? It cracks me up too because all these Freemasons, man, they'll sit there and they'll do Freemasonry and be like, man, this feels like witchcraft. It's so similar. Well, yeah, what do you think Catholicism and Freemasonry is? It's witchcraft, dude. It's all pagan. If you're a Catholic and you go to church and you see them lighting these candles and ringing these bells and putting oils and incense and smoke, it's all a ritual. It's witchcraft. Freemasonry is the same shit. By the way, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. The Order of the Golden Dawn is literally more elite than Freemasonry. Freemasonry is a dumbed down version of the Order of the Golden Dawn. And I know they'll get offended and they'll get mad, but Order of the Golden Dawn is a witchcraft coven, which literally is the exact same processes and degrees and stuff as Freemasonry. But it's literally Order of the Golden Dawn was created by the Rothschilds. So if you really want to get deep down the rabbit hole and you really want to get those high up knowledge, join the Order of the Golden Dawn. That's straight from the Rothschilds, man. Alright, let's see. The group consists of more than 13,000 lodges in the United States and roughly 5 million Masons worldwide, with nearly 2 million in the United States. It is uncertain whether membership is on the rise or declining. Beliefs and objectives. There is no international governing body in Freemasonry, but there are basic beliefs shared by all mainstream Masonic groups. These beliefs include brotherly love or fraternity, relief, truth, and free thinking. Akin to the notion of brotherly love is the practice of relief and charity. Good deeds are not done on earth to ensure salvation in the afterlife, but instead to better the lives of others in the present, which is actually kind of a cool philosophy. Freemasons support a wide range of charities and causes, including relief for victims of natural disasters, probably created by HARP. College scholarships and donations to impoverished families. Freemason medical philanthropies have contributed tens of millions of dollars in research grants for deafness, cancer, autism, multiple sclerosis, and spinal research. Kind of sucks, though, that a lot of Freemasons are in Big Pharma. Unless they're infiltrating Big Pharma, You guys caused it and then fixed it. Like that'd be like me cutting your arm open and then going, "Hang on, wait, I'll sew it up for you and put some aloe on it and put a band-aid on it." Like, motherfucker, I was the one who caused it. Now I'm cleaning up what I caused. Like, it's just all right. Dig a hole, bury it, and then dig a hole again. Okay, gotcha. Freemasonry encourages free thinking in the sense of open-mindedness and tolerance of different religions, philosophies, and moral systems, writes Joel Levy. Free thinking is a central principle within Freemason community. Study of Freemasonry, a book published in France in 1876, cites sources claiming free thinking is a fundamental principle of Freemasonry, not restrained but complete. Rites, meetings, and rituals. The goal of each Freemason is to achieve increasingly higher levels of spiritual and intellectual development. As he does, he progresses through a hierarchy of different grades and systems of degrees called rites. The first 3 degrees are entered apprentice, fellow craft, and master mason. The degrees ascend to higher levels with colorful names such as Knight of the Brazen Serpent. There you go, Team Serpent. Hey, kitty. Which, by the way, right there that associates it with serpent worship. There's 2 teams. You got Team Eagle and you got Team Serpent. You can study all that. Serpent worship is literally like the oldest form of worship. The serpent represents Prometheus, aka Lucifer. And check out the video that I put out before. Conspiracy Corner Podcast is an episode on Lucifer, aka Prometheus, the Lightbringer, the Illuminated. But there's another animal, the opposing animal, which would be the eagle. And this goes back to the ancient original tale of the dueling brothers, which you see throughout ancient cultures and ancient mythology and ancient legends and ancient history, with Romulus and Remus. Enki and Enlil would be the first. Cain and Abel, which Cain would be Tubal-Cain, which is what he was Team Serpent. He was basically what a lot of Freemasons believe they are the offspring and bloodline of Tubal-Cain. But yeah, I mean, you see the dueling brothers, throughout history, and you see it even honestly, even in our flags, like whenever a nation is under a certain control, like right now, I believe the United States is under eagle control, hence why we are eagle. But if you look at the original colonial flag, of basically when we first started out, it's "Don't tread me." It's a snake. It's a serpent. Don't tread on me. We were in serpent control, and now we are in eagle control. So it gets crazy. It gets deep. Do your research, and it gets insane, man. All right. Let's see. The Brazen Serpent. Inspector Inquisitor, Commander, and Sovereign Grand Inspector. The 33rd and highest degree attainable. The names of the degrees, derived from medieval craft guilds, have understandably contributed to the allure and mystery of Freemasonry, but have also strengthened the inaccurate but popular association between Masonry and the occult, according to Joel Levy. Historically, the aura of the mystery surrounding Freemasonry has been enhanced by the vows of secrecy Masons make during various rituals. Up until less than 30 years ago, entered apprentices had to swear to never reveal the mysteries of Freemasonry, under no less a penalty of having my throat cut across, my tongue torn out by its roots. the fellow craft faced, having my left breast torn open, my heart plucked out. Kalima. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. And given as a prey to the wild beast, should he give up Freemasonry's secrets. These oaths have been greatly tempered in recent years, but even the staunchest Freemasons will say such grotesque oaths as purely symbolic, like the imagery in secret handshake and passwords. Upon progressing through the grades and degrees, Masons are presented with symbolic gifts and honors. A new Mason is given an apron of white lambskin, symbolizing innocence and purity. The entered apprentice is given a gauge, a folding ruler, and a gavel or mallet. The gauge, I don't know what the fuck, the gauge, I guess? Gauge reminds the Mason to make the best use of his time. The mallet symbolizes the need to smooth off the rough edges of one's character on the road to self-improvement. The fellowcraft is given a plum, to symbolize living with integrity and honesty, a square to represent the acting with virtue, and a level to remind Masons that they are traveling upon the level of time toward personal betterment. Master Masons receive a trowel, representing the Mason's goal of spreading brotherly love and fraternity as a working Mason spreads cement. Enemies of the Masons. Enemies of Freemasons have existed as long as brotherhood itself. The anti-Masonry movement condemns Masonry as dangerous and subversive. Religious anti-Masonry groups, such as the Catholic Church, object to the group's history of free thinking and religious equality, denouncing the Masons as anti-Christian and satanic. Freemasonry's enormous popularity in the United States was accompanied by an equally strong anti-Masonry sentiment. Outsiders viewed the Brotherhood as an elitist organization, a corrupt institution serving only the selfish political and social interests of its members. The group reached a crisis in the 1830s on the heels of William Morgan fiasco of 1826. Morgan, a former Mason residing in upstate New York, let it be known he was planning to publish a book that would reveal the Brotherhood's secrets. Morgan was subsequently arrested on trumped-up charges for non-payment of a loan and jailed. He was released but then disappeared. 3 Masons were charged with kidnapping and murder, but were sentenced to only minimal punishment by a judge believed to be a Mason himself. The public was outraged and decided to take action against his brotherhood. By the way, this dude's last name is Fiasco. I wonder if that's how literally the term "this is a fiasco" created. Fiasco, you know? The next year, the anti-Masonic Party was established, and it grew influential enough to elect governors in Pennsylvania and Vermont. In 1832, it ran a candidate for president and won several electoral votes. In the wake of these hostile sentiments, many Masonic lodges closed down, and the Brotherhood lost more than half of its members nationwide. By mid-century, Freemasonry was on the rebound, but it never regained its earlier social status. In 1872, 2 Freemasons formed the ancient Arabic Order of the Noble of the Mystic Shrine, aka the Shriners, a drinking club for Masons. Because, little side note, they're not allowed to drink in the actual Masonic lodge, so I guess it's kind of like a alcoholic version of Freemasonry. If you're an alcoholic, I guess. By the late 1890s, having set aside the focus on drinking, membership reached 7 750,000, and the organization was actively involved in a vast program of charitable works. So I don't know, man. Let's see. Oh, there's another video that I forgot to suggest earlier. That if you're on my YouTube channel, you can check out. If you want to look into, it's ripped from the Hiram key, which I suggested to you all earlier. It is literally the Master Mason degree, the entire ceremony. I literally read through it, but there are parts omitted because the author is a Freemason, but he put out as much as he could without getting killed because of his oath. You see what I'm saying? So it's the most information on the Master Mason degree that we will ever get. But I have another little source here that I'm going to read through. It's not as long. But the 30 Years' War, 1618 through 1648, was a watershed event in European history. Many were shocked by the violence of the religious war. If Christian faith was about love, they asked, then how could Christians engage in such slaughter? The result was a movement called the Enlightenment, a search for a new moral and ethical foundation for humankind. Led by a small but highly diverse group of intellectuals, ranging from Dutch philosopher Baruch Spinoza and English physicist Isaac Newton to German philosopher Immanuel Kant and French encyclopedist Denis Diderot. The Enlightenment had a vast impact in the growing American colonies. Its ideas resonated strongly with Benjamin Franklin and Thomas Jefferson and provided a major impetus for the American Revolution. In France, it would ultimately foster the French Revolution. That's the Illuminati that started all that. The American and the French Revolution. Check out the episode before this. One of its driving principles was that the church had become an obstacle to the free pursuit of science and progress, to the well-being of humankind. In short, the horrific devastation of the 30 Years' War, the terror of the Inquisition, the bloody suppression of Protestants, all of these depredations had, in end, served no purpose other than to strengthen the power of the church. To many, it seemed that humankind was moving backwards rather than forward. This stimulated the rise of a movement known as Freemasonry. Though over the centuries, it would spawn many other branches and related groups. As a non-religious, non-political society, Freemasonry tried to define a new set of moral and spiritual values and encourage followers to evangelize them in everyday life. These values were inculcated through a series of ceremonies and rituals by which members steadily advanced through the ranks. Despite its prominent role today, the origins of Freemasonry are uncertain. No, it's the pharaoh-making process, and then it got carried on through the Knights Templar. As far as my research, that is my belief. Take it, or don't take it. It's up to you. The origins of Freemasonry are uncertain. It is believed to have begun with professional masons or stoneworkers who, unlike most other commoners, had the means to travel to different cities and lands. This gave the Masons a unique and liberal worldview that transcended local culture customs. Moreover, it fostered the unique sense of brotherhood captured in the term the craft, another word for Freemasonry. I already told you about what the craft means. Membership rankings such as, honestly, yeah, this is basically saying exactly what I already said. But yeah, check out those other 2 videos that I gave you guys, because that gets deeper into, honestly, Freemasonry, man. It gets into the Master Mason degree, which, look it up on my channel. It's literally the Master Mason degree. It should be under, actually, I don't know where it's under. You can just look it up. It's one of my earlier videos. If you want to learn more about King Solomon, I have a couple King Solomon videos on there, like King Solomon and Sheba book review. That gets into the building of the temple and all that jazz. There's a Jack the Ripper book review that gets into Freemasonry. Check it out. And in the last video, check out the last Conspiracy Corner podcast I put out so you can see part 1. I have more to come. That's all she wrote for today. I hope you all had a good day, and check out part 3.
We are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret society, opposed to secret oaths, opposed to secret proceedings, secret proceedings. No official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know.